Hello and welcome to another video. In this tutorial, I'll deconstruct 8 different speed garage bass lines from 5 acts and analyze the techniques used to help you write better bass lines. The MIDI files and serum presets from all the basses in this video will be available for free in the description, although I won't be making any patches in this tutorial. I've done full videos on most of these acts and I'll link these down below and on the screen throughout. I'm almost at 15,000 subs, so please do subscribe and like the video if you find it informative. Before we get into it, keep an eye out for the tempo changes since I've kept each loop at the authentic BPM. I've added drums as well, so we have some context. We'll start with that all-time speed garage classic, Rip Groove. Rip Groove's bass line is simple and we have a mostly ascending pattern in the key of F minor. You'll notice the keys highlighted in the clip panel for each bass line. The pattern is almost entirely quarter notes, except for this 8th note melodic leap at the end of bar 2 up to the root note, which I'll also refer to as the tonic, which is an octave above the original F. This bass line is only 2 bars long, and repeating 2-bar phrases are very common in speed garage for bass lines, although usually with a bit more variation. Writing bass lines in the style of Rip Groove is an ideal starting point for producers new to speed garage. I've made this patch in a bunch of videos and I'll link one below and on the screen now. I've used kickstart to create a pumping sensation which helps the kick punch through. Listen out for this pumping with the other bass lines. Next up, we have the big Warper by Soul Mass Transit System. This bass line is in F Phrygian dominant, which is like a mode of harmonic minor. In this case, it'd be A sharp harmonic minor, but since the bass line resolves to F, it's Phrygian dominant. This bass line starts on the 2nd note of the drop, and we have this stepwise descending pattern. You can also see there's quite a lot of empty space in this bass line in comparison to Rip Groove. Stepwise means that a melody goes up or down in sequential intervals. I'd recommend experimenting with ascending and descending stepwise and stepwise-like patterns for both bass lines and melodies, even if you're a more experienced producer. Soul Mass Transit System also uses larger melodic leaps, such as octave jumps. The next bass line is from Wine. So some sonic signifiers from Soul Mass Transit System's bass lines are starting to emerge now. We have more octave jumps. And again, descending stepwise notes. This is an 8-bar phrase, and I'm a fan of longer melodic phrases because they have more variation to keep the listener interested, like at bar 8. Having said that, this bass pattern is mostly repeating 2-bar phrases with small variations, so like a more complex version of Rip Groove, although the note selection is very different. Most of the bass lines in this project stick to quarter and 8th notes, and this is a good rule of thumb when writing speed garage bass lines. Let's move on to Silver Bumper. This is one of the bass lines from Wickedest. For some sections of Wickedest, this pattern is in quarter notes, similar to Rip Groove. But I've chosen to have a look at the offbeat section. This rhythm is reminiscent of donk, and you can hear this influence creeping into Speed Garage in recent times. We have another ascending progression, stepwisey and repeating every 2 bars. It resolves to the 4th, which is B flat. Bass lines in this style are another great starting point for beginners. At first glance, don't make me flout some of the rules we've previously discovered with these large melodic leaps. But on closer inspection, we have octave jumps. And if we isolate the higher and lower parts of the bass line, we can hear there are still stepwise elements. And there's a call and response between the high and low parts of the bass line. This is a more advanced approach, and I'd get comfortable writing bass lines in the styles of Rip Groove and Wickedest before trying out this method. This bass line is also in quite a high register compared to the other bass lines in the video, which may help with mixing, but means the sub-frequencies are provided almost solely by the kick drum. Just something to bear in mind. So that was 100 hertz and below, and listening to just the sub-frequencies is something you should be doing in your mixing process anyway. Next, we have the bass line from With You by ATW, aka Interplanetary Criminal and Main Phase. This is what I'd call pure octaves. As you can see and hear from these octave jumps, there are a few variations in bar 4. And for me, this is essential to keep the pattern interesting. My main concern, if you like, with this bass line is how this B note is very low. So the opposite problem we had with the last bass line. And if we look at the EQ, we can see that I'm high passing around this frequency. Effectively cutting the volume of these notes a little bit, and I'm pretty sure this is what ATW do. Again, these aren't really problems as such, I'm just highlighting some potential production challenges. Having said that, kickstart is sidechaining, and the low B will be one of the notes kickstart decreases the volume of. Next, we have the organ bass from Backshot. There's not too much to say about this bass line given what we've already covered, but it does have this groove applied to it to give it a triplety feel. Let's just commit it and see how it changes the placement of the notes. Using grooves on bass lines is common in other genres of garage, and you'd apply the same swing to both the drums and the bass. Just watch out for velocity changes. Using grooves on bass lines is common in other genres of garage. I'll leave a video from another creator explaining this technique in more depth. Speed garage is less swung than two-step influence styles, so this is the only place where I'm using this technique. I think the most unique aspect of this bass line is how it barely uses the tonic of the scale. In this case, A sharp. The bass line resolves to the 5th, which is E sharp, more commonly called F. Finally, we have the bass line from Cutty Dub by Bush Baby. I believe this is in G Locrian, and Locrian is great for creating dark and unsettling moods. Like Don't Make Me, we have this call and response between lower and higher notes. with lots of octave jumps. We also have these percussive stutters at the end of bar 4. Plus, I've used pitch bend to bend this G note down. The setting for the pitch bend is -5 semitones. So what have we learned and how can you implement it in your productions? Well, start simple by using mostly repeating quarter notes with maybe the odd 8th note flourish. If you're struggling to find the right note, try choosing a key, perhaps a natural minor key, and use stepwise ascending or descending patterns which repeat every 2 bars with a variation at the end of bar 4. Basslines of 4 or 8 bars are ideal, and resolving on the tonic 4th or 5th is usually effective. Then you can add to the complexity with offbeat patterns or octaves. And once you've mastered these, you can move on to more free-form bass lines, implementing more intricate rhythms, scales, and modes. But remember, sometimes simple is effective. And that's the video. Please leave any questions in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.